Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. It's pretty amazing that we're already at the end of 2021, getting ready to jump into 2022. But I wanted to hop on tonight because there's a couple things that I want to talk to you about that I think you're going to find interesting, that I think that you're going to, probably learn something. But before I do that, I would just ask, would you share this live stream? Because what I want to talk to you about is United States Senate polling here in the state of Oklahoma. Where are we at? What do we have going on there? I want to talk to you about the controversy surrounding America's general, Michael Flynn. Oh, there's a lot of stuff happening around General Flynn, especially if you're on Telegram. And then we're going to talk about just sort of what it looks like to go from 2021 to 2022 in regards to the campaign and how we're doing. So just do me a quick favor, share this live stream, and then in the comment section, just let me know where you're watching from. I see Sharon, you're watching all the way in Lawton, and we're coming to Lawton in March. I think we're gonna have a great time in Lawton, and then I see Karen, you're in California, and Amy from Owasso, which is where I'm shooting from right now. My office is here in Owasso, not too far from there. And then I actually live in Owasso as well. So, yeah, just do me a favor, comment where you're watching from, and then share this live stream because what I want to talk to you about is just some of the questions that I have been getting, especially from the news media, which, by the way, the news media, 99.9% of the time, they are totally against me, which tells me we're doing something right. 99.9% of the time, they're totally against me. But that's okay. That's okay. We're going to fight the news media and we're going to win. So, what I want to talk to you about is the polling that is coming out in regards to the United States Senate race here in Oklahoma and it's very interesting. So you have this poll that came out from Amber Integrated. Amber Integrated. Now they had one that came out. I think it was like at the end of October. The end of October, they had a poll that came out, and it said this. It said James Langford was like 62%, something like that. Jackson Lahmeyer was at 21%, and then there were some other people. They were like 3%, 2%. Just they were just down there. And then they have a new poll that came out here recently said James Lankford is at like I want to say 56% or something like that, and then they put me at 8%. They said that I dropped from 21% to 8%, which is asinine. It is that we're only going to be trending upwards. Okay, we're only going to be trending upwards. And so when you look into the poll that Amber Integrated put out, they polled about 253 registered Republicans. 253 registered Republicans in the state of Oklahoma. And that's how they came up with their number that I'm at like 8%, and Langford's at like 50 something percent, and there's 40% ish, 30 something percent that are undecided. Okay, here's the thing with that poll. That's a total trash poll. And I'm just gonna explain it to you, walk you through it. Our campaign just took a very thorough poll. We spent a lot of money on this poll, and I actually have the entire poll right here. It's just it's a lot. It's a lot. I got the entire thing right here, and so I'm gonna walk you through this, and I'll tell you the difference between the poll our campaign took and the trash poll from Amber Integrated. So Amber Integrated, like I said, in October, they put me at 21, 22%. And then all of a sudden they say I took a dramatic drop down to 8%. Are you kidding me? You think that we dropped from 21? No, we're on the up and up, baby. We're on the up and up. Amber Integrated is a total trash poll. You can just disregard it. Now the media is making a big deal out of, oh, Langford's got 52%, which, by the way, as an incumbent senator who ran unopposed in 2016, James should be in the 60s, the 70s. He shouldn't be at like 52%, but I'll tell you, he's not even doing that well. We took a poll. We didn't survey 253 registered Republicans in the state of Oklahoma. No, we surveyed over 1,000 likely Republican primary voters in the state of Oklahoma. Now, I want you to listen to this. This is very important. This is very important. Amber Integrated, which is total trash, Amber Integrated surveyed 253 registered Republicans in Oklahoma. That means they might vote, they might not vote, they may have voted in the past, they may have never voted. They're just registered Republicans. They called and said, hey, who are you going to vote for? And 253. The poll we took was not geared towards just, are you a registered Republican? That doesn't mean anything. This is a Republican primary. Who is actually going to vote in the 2022 Republican primary on June 28th in the state of Oklahoma. We surveyed over 1,000, not 250, 1,000. And we came up with some very interesting results. And so Mr. Roger Stone helped oversee that poll. And Roger told me when we got the poll back that he would be honest with me. And he's been doing this for 40 years at the highest level. And he said, if I look at the poll, I look at everything we asked, there's several things that went into this survey. He said, if I look at it and it tells me that you cannot win, I will tell you, you cannot win. And we're going to look at doing something else because we're not going to waste people's time. We're not going to waste people's money. And we're not going to put the effort into something if you cannot actually win. And so I was kind of nervous about getting the poll back. I was just like, man, I don't have no idea what it's going to say because they're surveying 1,000 plus people across the state of Oklahoma. I've never ran for office before, and so many people, they don't even know who I am. They don't even know I'm running. And so I just wasn't sure what the poll would come back and say. And so when we got the poll results back, I was nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, what is this going to say? What are the results? What are the results? And the results are very, very good. And so Mr. Stone did not advise me to drop out of the race. Mr. Stone told me this in 40 years of doing this and looking at this poll, that if we have the resources that we need in order to mass communicate to the state of Oklahoma, we are going to win the United States Senate race. It is Lahmeyer will defeat Lankford June 28th, 2022, if we have the resources that we need in order to communicate the message. So the poll results coming back good. So this is the full poll right here. There's a lot of pages, a lot of questions that they asked. But what I have, and we're releasing some things as we go. We're not giving out the entire thing right now. But what I have is a executive summary that they gave to me, what the poll showed. And so I want to read this to you because, they're going to try to circulate this trash poll from Amber Integrated. And Amber Integrated is a total trash. It's terrible. It's a terrible job. They surveyed 253 registered Republicans who may or may not even vote. We did over 1,000 likely. These are people who have voted in Republican primaries in the past. So I just want to read to you some of the findings of the poll. And I can promise you, I'm not dropping out. I'm not dropping out. We have a great pathway to victory. And I was thankful that Mr. Stone told me that if we didn't have a path to victory, that then he would tell me to, we're going to do something else. We're not going to waste people's time. We're not going to waste your money. But we can win. And if we have the resources in order to do it, we will win. Bottom line. So I'm going to read to you the findings. So you don't have to worry about when people share with you some Amber Integrated poll. You can just say it's total trash. We have a real poll right here. So this is what it says. It says, and this is coming from the pollster here. The primary for the U.S. Senate is being battled out primarily among two top contenders. So I think there's like 5 or 6 people running for U.S. Senate in the state of Oklahoma, but it's very clear this is a Lahmeyer versus Lankford battle. Okay, there might be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people running. This is a primary battle. I'm reading it right here from the poll they conducted. This is a primary battle being battled out primarily among two top contenders, outsider Jackson Lahmeyer and incumbent James Lankford. A third candidate has recently entered the race and is polling around 5%. So there's another guy, he's polling around 5%. And here was some of the findings of what we got. And this is really interesting stuff. It says, an astonishing 83% of Oklahoma Republican primary likely voters, people who are actually going to vote in the primary, 83% of Oklahoma Republican likely voters say they will support the Trump-backed candidate. So the candidate that President Trump supports, 83%. Oh my goodness. 83% say that they're going to vote for that candidate. So whoever Trump gets behind, this is Trump country. This is Trump country. It then goes on to say that Lankford's approval rating, and this is very, very different than Amber Integrated. It says Lankford's approval rating. Now, this is among likely Republican primary voters, not just registered Republicans. Who cares? This is a primary battle. Who is going to win the primary? It says Lankford's approval rating has fallen below 50%. This is incredible. as a sitting U.S. senator, as an incumbent, he should be in the 60s to the 70s among Republican primary voters. He's around 46%. That is extremely, extremely bad news for James Lankford. We've not even hit him yet. We've not even hit him yet. And he's at 46%. It goes to show that when we hit him, when we hit him, he drops into the 20s. He drops into the 20s. So here we go. I'll just keep reading. As Gallup noted, most incumbents, listen to this, this will blow you away. Most incumbents who are above 50% in their approval ratings, they win re-election. So meaning if Lankford was 55, 60, 65% in his approval rating at this stage, he would win re-election. But those who fall below 50% usually lose their re-election. So this is the beautiful thing. Lankford is not above 50% in his approval rating. He's below 50% in his approval rating, which means the trend, the odds are that Lankford is going to be beaten. Now, beaten by who? The contender, which is our campaign, Lahmeyer. So here's some other things that we found that I think are quite interesting. The number one issue among likely Republican primary voters in the state of Oklahoma is something I knew intrinsically, but now we have the data to show it, is election integrity. The 2020 election, 82% of Republican voters believe the election was stolen, with only 11% of them believing it was fair and honest. I want to know who the 11% of voters are that actually believe it was a fair and honest election. I can't imagine anybody believing it was a fair and honest election. So that's a summary of page 1 of the very extensive poll that we have here. And now it gets interesting. Now I'm giving you all of this because Amber Integrated and the fake news is out there saying, oh, Lankford's got it in the bag. Lankford's got it in the bag. Lankford does not have it in the bag. He's below 50%. And as an incumbent, he should be in the 60s, getting close to 70 among his base. His base support is 46%, and we've not hit him yet. When we hit him, oh my goodness, he drops into the 20s. That's why I'm saying Amber Integrated, that poll is totally worthless. It's a totally worthless poll. We've got the data here. We took it. We spent a lot of money. Oh my goodness, we spent a lot of money on surveying over 1,000 likely, not registered Republicans, likely Republican primary voters. Very important. Whoever wins the primary will win the U.S. Senate seat here in the state of Oklahoma. It's that simple. Whoever wins the primary for the Republican Party will be the next senator. This is a primary battle, June 28, 2022. Okay, page 2. Here's some of the things that we have discovered. And like I said, this is just a small snippet. We're releasing this as we go. We're not giving everything at once. We don't want to drown you like you're drinking from the fire hose. Okay, here's what we found. 91%. Now, this is big. 91% of the Oklahoma likely Republican voters in the primary support an outsider over an incumbent who has ties with Mitch McConnell. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. There's only one outsider in this race. There's only one person that's not a career politician running for the U.S. Senate. That's Jackson Lahmeyer. James Lankford and the other guy that's running, they're career politicians. 91% of likely Oklahoma Republican primary voters, they want an outsider, 91%. So that puts us in a very, very good standing. It says the reality is this. OK GOP voters prefer outsider Jackson Lahmeyer over that of insider James Lankford. If Lahmeyer earns the endorsement from President Trump and educates voters on the necessary things about Senator James Lankford and what he has done, Lahmeyer could outright win the GOP primary without even going into a runoff. Now, we're preparing as if we're going to go into a runoff, because a runoff is where we hold James Lankford under 50%. Right now, his approval rating is at 46%, which means if the election was today, he's not in very good shape. We go to a runoff in the state of Oklahoma. The incumbent in a runoff has an 80% chance of losing. So if I get James Lankford in a runoff, if I get James in a runoff, 1v1 in a runoff, James has an 80% historically of losing. 80%, I'll take those chances. I'll take an 80% chance of winning any day. So the poll, We took a very extensive poll. It is very, very thorough. I'll show you this one right here. What kind of background do you want for your next U.S. Senator? This is what kind of background. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's kind of bright. What kind of background do you want for your next U.S. Senator? And let's see, 53% said they want an outsider. Let's see, 6% said they want a career politician. Only 6% said they want a career politician. So this is a good finding right here. We're in great shape. We're in really, really good shape. So where we're at right now as we enter into the next phase of the campaign is earning the endorsement of President Trump and earning the endorsement of the broader Republican likely primary voter in the state of Oklahoma. That's the next phase. We have built a very strong base. We have a great base of supporters, people who are so active, they're so engaged. Like Cheryl, I see Cheryl's watching right now. Cheryl is just an absolutely incredible patriot, and Cheryl is using her time, her talent, and her treasure to advance the America First cause and to do her part in saving this country. And so we have so many people just like Cheryl that are actively involved. So that puts us in a good spot as we get ready to close 2021 and enter into 2022, where the real battle begins. So come January 1st, 2022, the battle really kicks off. And we have to earn the endorsement of President Trump. We have to earn the endorsement of the broader, likely Republican primary voter. We have a lot of work to do because there's still so many people in Oklahoma, they don't even know I'm running. They just haven't been paying attention to necessarily everything that's going on in the inner workings of the GOP world. They're just, they're living life, and they'll come to vote June the 28th, and they recognize James Lankford's name and like, he's a Southern Baptist, and he's a Republican, so I'm going to vote for him. This is what we found in the poll. There's no intensity for James Lankford, meaning nobody is excited to say I support James Lankford, because here's what you didn't find. I support James Lankford because of X, meaning James has done so well at protecting our gun rights, or James has done so well at, doing X or doing Y. There's no intensity. It's, well, I know who James Lankford is, and I think he's a good guy, and I'm just going to vote for it because I know who he is. So that means we're in a position that if we can educate the mass voter, the mass electorate, that we can then say there is another option. You don't have to settle for the rhino of the highest order. You can have an American first fighter who is an outsider in Jackson Lahmeyer. So that's where we're at. The polling is actually very good. We're not discouraged at all by anything Amber integrated. It's total trash. Don't worry about it. We're going to keep moving on. So how do we earn President Trump's endorsement? Well, it's very simple. We got to show the president we can win. I mean, that's the thing. President Trump's a winner, and I respect that. And a lot of people always ask me, they're like, why are you not, out begging President Trump for an endorsement? And the reason was very simple, is because I got to prove myself. It would be foolish of me to say, hey, I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and President Trump, I think you need to endorse me. I got to prove myself. Now, James Lankford asked for President Trump's endorsement March the 16th. Now, that was a long time ago. That's when I kicked off my campaign with General Flynn's endorsement. Lankford requested President Trump's endorsement March the 16th. Now, I do find it interesting why James so badly wants Trump's endorsement when James Lankford is very, very adamant that Donald Trump is a bad role model. James said that he is not raising his kids to be like Donald Trump. James blocked Trump when it came to the building of the wall. James wanted blanket amnesty against Trump. He was part of the Gang of Eight. So I don't know why Lankford wants Trump's endorsement so badly. Other than it's just politically savvy to have Trump's endorsement in the state of Oklahoma, because as we saw, 83% of Republican voters will support whoever Trump backs. So I understand James wants his endorsement simply to keep his job. But James Lankford doesn't like Donald Trump. James was a never Trumper in 2016. So, I mean, come on. But here's the thing. We've got to earn the president's endorsement. Trump is a winner. Trump wants to endorse someone who's going to win. So how do we show President Trump that we're going to win? Well, part of it is in the polling. That's why we took this poll. We needed to gauge, can we actually win this thing? And if we can win this thing, how do we win it? So it's very simple. We have three key issues that when we hit James Lankford with these three key issues, it's just like, bam, all of a sudden, James drops from being 40% approval. He drops into the 20s. Okay? He drops into the 20s and I skyrocket. So, how do we do this on a mass level? Well, it takes resources, it takes money because what we have to do, this is a statewide race. I cannot knock on every single door in the state of Oklahoma. It's not going to happen. I don't have enough time. There's too many doors. There's not enough me's. So, how do we do it? Well, it's mass advertising. So, we have a lot of work to do in mass communications. This is going to be an effort in mass communication. Can we get the message out about James Lankford, and can we get the message out about Jackson Lahmeyer? See, that's the thing. We got to bring Lankford down at the same time while we bring Lahmeyer up. Now, I'm speaking about myself because it's kind of the brand of the campaign. So Lankford's got to come down while at the same time we go up. We do that through mass communications, whether that's mailers, whether that's radio, whether that's television, whether that's billboards. There's all kinds of different ways. Social media is going to be huge for us, which we crush every single Republican right now in the state of Oklahoma with our social media game. We're the very best at it, and we're doing very well there. So we have to have the resources in order to communicate the message. So that's why I've always encouraged people, in this campaign, we need your help financially, whether it's $5 or $500. We need your help because we cannot get the message out without the finances. So we have the message. We have the winning message. We got the poll. We know. We know what works. We got it right here. We know the game plan. The question is, are we going to have the resources necessary to fire away? Are we going to have the resources to hit Lankford, to bring him down, and the resources to elevate the Lahmeyer brand, the Lahmeyer campaign? Are we going to have that? And that's the question mark. It's not a question of can we win. We know that we can win. We know that we can win. We got it right here. I got it. I know we can win. We got the game plan. We got the map. The question is, will we have the resources in order to win? And that's where we need your help. That's where we need help of so many great people. And so many people have stepped up. We've had over 6,000 individuals donate to the campaign, which I just think is such a beautiful thing. We've raised a tremendous amount of money. And we continue to use that money to elevate the campaign, and it's a good thing. So I need your help with that. Polling things are well. Now let me talk to you about the controversy because I have been asked a lot, and I see things on Telegram about General Michael Flynn. Okay, General Michael Flynn. A lot of people are asking, is General Michael Flynn a Satanist? Does he worship Satan? Is General Michael Flynn let's see, what are some of the other things? Is he deep state? Is he a Freemason? I can't think of all the different accusations that have been leveled against General Flynn, but let me just tell you this. General Flynn is not a Satanist, and anyone who thinks that General Flynn is a Satanist, I get something a little loose up here. Anyone who thinks that General Flynn is a Freemason, something's not right. Anyone that thinks that General Flynn is a part of the deep state, something's not right there. Listen, General Flynn is not a part of the deep state. General Flynn is not a Satanist. General Flynn is not a Freemason. General Flynn is one of the best individuals I've ever met in my life, and I've met a lot of people. I've got to spend a lot of time with General Flynn. We've gotten to know each other very, very well. I was the first candidate that he endorsed in this election cycle, which is a huge honor. And General Flynn and I, we text all the time. We see each other all the time. We're across the country together. And I'll tell you a story about one time that the General and I, we were on a jet together. A friend of mine was flying us to an event, and it was him, it was General Flynn, and it was myself. And we were on the flight, and General Flynn asked me if I had heard of this particular preacher from the 1700s that helped lead the First Great Awakening in the United States of America. And I said, yeah, I know who that is. I studied church history. I actually did 2 degrees in church history when I went to Oral Roberts University. So I love church history. And General Flynn said, yeah, I've been reading his sermons. And it's just, they're his sermons from the 1700s. They were absolutely powerful. And I'm thinking to myself, General Flynn, you're reading sermons from the 1700s of one of the great revivalists? And he said, yeah. He goes, hey, I want you to read this sermon. We're on the airplane. He says, I want you to read this sermon before we land. And this is a sermon, and you need to read it. And I just remember thinking to myself, this guy, he's hungry for the Lord. He's hungry for the Word. He's reading sermons from the 1700s, And so as I've gotten to know General Flynn, I can tell you, General Flynn is a born-again believer. He is a Christian. He is a Catholic, and yes, Catholics can be Christians. I know there's some people who don't think that Catholics can't be Christians or whatever the case may be, but General Flynn is a Christian. General Flynn is a Christian. There's no doubt about it. I've gotten to know him very well. Now, a lot of people ask the question, well, what about this prayer that General Flynn prayed about something, 7 rays of light or whatever the case may be? Well, here's the thing. General Flynn will be the first to tell you he is not a religious leader for the United States of America. That is not the role he sees himself in. He was asked to pray. And it was a particular prayer that he had gotten online because he was looking for the prayer of St. Michael, who he's named after. It's a Catholic prayer. He happened to pull this particular prayer and he prayed it out loud. And it was not something that he was trying to convey as trying to get people to worship Satan or anything like that. That's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. And it's just a waste of time that people are continually to hammer this thing. This guy is a general. He is a military leader. He's not your pastor. He's not trying to be your pastor. That's the thing. They're trying to make him out like he's he's not a pastor. He was asked to come up and lead a prayer. Catholics read prayers. That's just what Catholics do. It's a part of their tradition. He pulled a prayer from one line, and he's not going to do that one again. I can tell you that much. But he was looking for the prayer of St. Michael. Okay, this is very simple. This is very simple. Now, in regards to some of these accusations, look at the people who are making these accusations. I mean, you got this one guy saying that we poison people with anthrax down in Dallas. And, I can neither confirm nor deny that it was that, but, there's anthrax. Listen, anybody who throws out some kind of accusation like that, you don't need to listen to them. They have no idea what they're talking about. They said that at the Reawaken America tour that we just had in Dallas with Clay Clark, General Michael Flynn, Mike Lindell, Eric Trump, myself, I was down there. I didn't get anthrax poisoning. I feel great. I was down there. But you got these people making these huge, I mean, that's a huge accusation to say that people were poisoned with anthrax. It's nonsense. They were sick. They may have even had COVID. Who knows? They were sick. They didn't get poisoned with anthrax. But these people who are making these type of accusations are the same people saying that General Flynn is a part of the deep state. These are the same people who are saying that General Flynn is a Satanist. These are the same people saying that General Flynn is a Freemason. You just look at the accusations of me. This is the same people that tried to say that General Flynn was a part of a George Soros organization. It was a different Michael Flynn. They're just looking for anything they can to hit General Flynn, and they'll put anything out there to hit General Flynn. And that's not what we need right now. General Flynn is a hero. He is not a pastor. He is not trying to be a pastor. He is very hungry for the Lord. Like I said, he's reading sermons from the 1700s. I was on the plane, and he literally pulled out the sermon. He gave it to me while we're on the plane. He said, I want you to read this before we land. And so it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There was no anthrax in Dallas. There will be no anthrax in Phoenix, where we're going in January. There will be no anthrax in Canton, Ohio, where we're going in February. There will be no anthrax when we go to San Diego or when we go to Oregon. There's no anthrax. It's ridiculous. And for somebody to even peddle that out there, that just goes to show you who they are. They're not exposing General Flynn. They're revealing who they are. So I just wanted to come and just hammer that. General Flynn is not a Satanist. General Flynn is not a Freemason. General Flynn is not a part of the deep state. Anybody who's peddling out those accusations, something's off there. They're not exposing Flynn. They're revealing who they are. I know General Flynn very well, and I can tell you he is a born-again believer. He loves the Lord. It doesn't mean he's a spiritual leader. That doesn't mean he is a pastor. That's not what that means. It just simply means he loves the Lord. He's seeking the Lord. He's growing in the Lord. That's what that means. So we got to stop overlooking into those type of things. So we've addressed the polling. We've addressed the controversy around America's General Michael Flynn, which goes to show you they're attacking him so much because he got a big destiny. I am just telling you, he's got a big destiny. We'll see what the future holds for General Michael Flynn. I can tell you I'm very, very excited for the future of General Michael Flynn. Now, somebody had asked me to address something about campaign finance violations. I had saw it earlier. Let me go back. Can you talk about these accusations of campaign finance violations Yeah, I absolutely can. Campaign finance violations. Here's what happened. And I'll address, if you have a question, go ahead and ask a question. But when it comes to the article written by the Norman Transcript, they were the only ones to write about it, which Norman Transcript's total trash, by the way. The campaign finance violations were very, very simple. What it was in regards to giving money to a campaign, you can't give large sums of cash. We had people who gave $1,000. We had people who gave $2,000. We had people who gave $2,900, which is the max. They would go to my website, jacksonlawmeyer.com, and they would give the max donation, or they'd give 2,000, or they'd give 1,000. And they did that on the website through a program called Donor Box. So they would get out their credit card and they would give online. Well, we take Donor Box, every person that is given on Donor Box, and we would take those names and we would take, the amount that they gave, and then we would create a report in QuickBooks to just keep track of everything, which would then fill in to another system called Aristotle, which campaigns use to submit what's called an FEC report, meaning every dollar that the campaign spends is public, every dollar that the campaign receives is public. And so what happened was we had, I think it was about 10 donors that went to my website, jacksonlawmeyer.com, and gave large sums of money, whether it was 500, 1,000, 2,500, 2,900, whatever it was. We had about 10 donors that gave on the website, that when we pulled them from Donor Box, and it was in an Excel file, and transferred them to the final stage of Aristotle, where we would submit an FEC report, they were marked as cash donors. Instead of being marked as credit card, they had been marked, 10 of them had been marked as cash. Well, they're not allowed to give that much money cash. That's illegal. Well, we had turned in the report. You got to remember, we're at this stage. We got over 6,000 donors. We had a clerical error. We had 10 donors that gave with their credit card, which we have proof of. We have proof. We had 10 donors which gave with their credit cards that were labeled, in transferring them from Donor Box to Aristotle, they were labeled as cash donors. So we had like a sum of something like $15,000 in cash that was given, which you can't do that from that small amount of individuals. So when we turned in our FEC report, they flagged that. They said, well, hey, hang on a second. This person cannot give $1,500 cash. You got a problem here. So they flagged all these things. That's what the campaign finance violations were. And all we had to do was go back and show, actually, this person didn't give $1,500 cash. This person gave $1,500 by going to jacksonlawmeyer.com, pulling up their credit card, and giving. It was just reported incorrectly. So we just made the correction. We didn't get fined. We didn't get in any trouble or anything like that. There was no major campaign finance violations. We didn't embezzle anything. We didn't steal anything. We didn't lie about anything. There was simply an error. It was just an error in pulling it from one system and entering into the next system. And the Norman Transcript, which is total trash, they pumped this story out there. And then you got GOP people, like one of the guys in Tulsa. His name is Bob Jack. Oh, Bob Jack. He loves the Norman Transcript. And Bob Jack liked to share that Norman Transcript article about the campaign finance violations of Jackson Lahmeyer, the campaign finance violations. Bob Jack liked to just share them everywhere. And he's sending it to everybody. And these people are sending it back to me saying, this Bob Jack. Oh, Bob Jack. He's telling everybody about Lahmeyer's major campaign finance violations. There's nothing major at all. We've already addressed it. It's already been settled. So it's a good question. It's out there. There's a headline out there that says that. But it is what it is. So it says Lankford is taking money from big tech. Yeah, I know that. Believe me. And Lankford loves money from Pfizer. Oh, and Pfizer loves Lankford, and Lankford loves Pfizer. So but it's a good question. It's a very good question. We had no major crime committed on. You read the article and it looks like they got this picture of me. They're trying to make me look like a criminal. I was like, I didn't even do it. First of all, I have no dealings with the campaign finances. Okay, I'm not on the bank account. I don't have a card. I have no dealings with the campaign finances. My only dealings with the campaign finances are this. I go from place to place to place, and I ask people to donate. That is my dealings with the campaign finances. I don't determine how we spend the money. I have a say in it. I want to spend here. I want to do that. But in regards to the campaign finance, they tried to make me look like a criminal. It's just like, you got to be kidding me. We had a clerical error of 10 people that we can go back and improve. But that's what the media does. That's what the media does. They take something so simple like that, and then they try to spin it. So, that's why we need help. Like, we got to be able to fight back. This is where resources come in handy, because this. The media is not going to hit James Lankford. They love James Lankford because they control James Lankford. The media is going to hit me. They already have. CNN's ran 4 hit pieces on me. The New York Times has come after me. Let's see. We've got the Washington Post has ran 2 hit pieces on me. MSNBC has come after me. This is in the early phases. Once this election really intensifies, it's going to really intensify. The news media is going to go berserk on me. They're going to go berserk on me. They're not going to touch Lankford. They are going to go after me, though. So it's an incredible thing that the media is going to attack me. They're going to protect him. I get it, because we're over the target. But we need resources in order to push back against the narrative of the media. We've got to push back against that narrative. And the only way we can push back is with enough resources to get our message out there. So that's where I need your help. We have 5 days to close 2021 out. 5 days before we close the fourth quarter, where we have to submit an FPC report. And so we got 5 days to raise $50,000. I think we raised quite a bit today. Actually, I don't know the exact number, so we're well on our way to raising that $50,000. And so I need your help. I really do, whether that's $5 or $10 or whatever it is you can do. I need your help. You can go to jacksonlahmeyer.com and you can give there. It's going to take a lot of people coming together. That's the next phase, is making sure we're ready to counterpunch, because the media is going to come after me. I've already been hearing some speculation of how they're going to attack me and all that good stuff. You learn a lot about yourself that you never knew actually happened in your life when you run for the United States Senate. A lot of accusations come your way. And so let's see. Cindy's saying something. Aha, let's see. I had no idea what was circling around Lankford's camp. Campaign finance violations are being used to smear your name at Lankford's rather large church, made very general with no details to be the reason one should not vote for you. Oh, yeah. Well, of course. I mean, that's what they're going to do. They're going to take something like Lahmeyer has campaign finance violations, and then what they're going to say is Lahmeyer's a criminal. They're going to say I'm a criminal. That's what they tried to make it out to be, that I was a criminal, and then nothing happened. I mean, there's not a problem at all, to be honest with you. There's nothing there. We changed the clerical error that they didn't give, $15,000 in cash. They gave, that amount that came from credit card transactions. And the good thing with credit cards is they're time stamped and you can prove that and all that other kind of stuff. So it was an easy thing to correct. Let's see. Republicans in Oklahoma are trying to overthrow the vote of the people. Nationally, it's Democrats trying to destroy America. In Oklahoma, it's Republicans. And that's totally correct, Don. You're totally correct. We do not have a Democrat problem in the state of Oklahoma. We have a Republican problem in the state of Oklahoma, and rhino hunting season begins January 1st, 2022. Okay, rhino hunting season kicks off, and we've got our sights set on a rhino of the highest order. His name is James Lankford. We got to take him out in 2022. We have got to have the resources to remove him. We've got to get the people out to vote in order to remove him. We have to remove James Lankford. We have to. Otherwise, we're going to keep spinning our wheels. We don't have a Democrat problem. We got a Republican problem. Let's see here. If we all do at least $20, that adds up. Yeah, you're totally right. If a lot of people give a little bit, it adds up to a whole lot. That's how we ran the campaign, because here's the thing. We do not have the extremely large donors. Lankford has those people. Lankford's got the large money people, and that's fine. I knew that going into this. But what we have is we have the people. And so what we need is for the people to just do what they can, whether that's $5 or $50, whatever that is. If a lot of people give a little bit, it adds up to a whole lot. Our goal was never to get 10 people to give $1,000. Our goal was to get 1,000 people to give $10. That's just the difference in the philosophy. 10 people to give $1,000 or 1,000 people to give $10. I like 1,000 people giving $10 because that's 1,000 people that are going to vote. It's 1,000 people that are going to vote, and so those are big things. Those are really big things. Everyone add a Lahmeyer banner to your Facebook picture. Yes, yes, that is a brilliant idea. Add that banner. Everyone that sees your pic will then see Lahmeyer, and that's a brilliant thing. And you can do that just by clicking your profile pic, and you can say add a banner. Those are good. Those are really good. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. I hope you're getting ready for the new year. So just a quick question: is there any more questions? You guys have any questions? I'll answer anything you got. We'll talk about anything you got. I got a little bit of time before I got to run tonight. So anybody have a question you want me to address? I can. Lahmeyer frames. There's a lot to choose from. There's a lot to choose from. I think we've got like 6 of them. 6 different frames that you can put on your profile pic, and it's just a way that people they see that word Lahmeyer, then they keep seeing Lahmeyer, it intrigues their interest, and then they maybe look up the word Lahmeyer and they see this guy named Jackson Lahmeyer is running against James Lankford, and they say, oh my goodness, you mean we don't have to settle for James Lankford? There's another option. And so that's kind of how this thing works. Just real quickly, let me give you I sent out an email, but I know not everybody checks their email, and I'm guilty of that. Roger Stone gives me a very hard time. I don't check my email very often. But let me just give you 3 quick goals that I have that are short-term goals, and then let me give you 3 goals that I have that are long-term goals. So I get asked a lot, when you get to the U.S. Senate, what are you actually going to do? Because it's one thing to campaign well, which we are campaigning very well. Like I said, we got the numbers. We got the numbers. We're campaigning very, very well. But you can campaign well. What do you actually do when you get there? And I get asked that. What are you actually going to do? And so when I get to the U.S. Senate, there is 3 quick things that I want to do really quickly that are quick goals. The first one is this. On day 1, I am going to sponsor legislation to cut off all federal funding to any school district in America, that teaches critical race theory. So any school district that teaches critical race theory, I'm going to sponsor legislation to cut off all federal funding. That's going to be day 1. Sponsor legislation to do that and get that moving. Secondly, I am going to sponsor legislation. This is going to hit Oklahoma more than the rest of the United States, but it's still important for the rest of the United States. I'm going to sponsor legislation that bans Chinese nationalists and other foreign entities from buying up American farmland. This is a massive problem we have here in the state of Oklahoma. Over 300,000 acres has been purchased by Chinese nationalists. These are communist Chinese nationalists that have purchased over 300,000 acres of Oklahoma farmland where they're growing marijuana, selling marijuana across state lines. We have a massive problem. China is not our friend. China is our enemy, and they are buying up our farmland quick. And they're doing it here in the state of Oklahoma. So I'm going to sponsor legislation that bans Chinese nationalists or any other foreign entity from buying American farmland, and any American that works as a straw man, as a front man, to start an LLC for the Chinese nationalists to come in and buy the land through, that individual will be charged with a felony. And the lands that are currently owned by communist Chinese nationalists, they have 60 days to sell the land to an American for whatever they can get for it. They've got 60 days to sell it. On day 61, the county in which the land is located will seize the property, and the county will then resell the property at auction to an American. We cannot have our enemy buying up all of our land. We cannot have that. So day 1, sponsor legislation to cut off all federal funding to any school district that's teaching CRT. ban Chinese nationalists and other foreign entities from being able to purchase American farmland and then making them resell it back to Americans. And then number three, these are short-term goals. Then I'll give you my long-term goals. These are short-term goals. Number three is go after Anthony Fauci, who is the greatest mass murderer of our time. Anthony Fauci needs to be fired, arrested, and convicted of crimes against humanity. He has to be arrested. He has to be convicted. But first, he's got to get fired. So one of the things that I am going to strive is I'm going to beat the drum every single day in the U.S. Senate, every single day in the media. Anthony Fauci needs to be held responsible for the murder of millions of people around the world. Anthony Fauci is responsible for the creation of COVID-19, as well as the withholding of safe and effective therapeutics that treated COVID-19. So many people unnecessarily died because they were not given the safe and effective therapeutics that treat people so well, so effectively. You know what they are. You know what they are. And so we have to bring justice to Anthony Fauci. Therefore, three short-term goals. One, cut off all federal funding to any school district that's teaching CRT. Two, ban Chinese nationalists from being able to purchase American farmland. And then three, every single day, beat the drum in the Senate, beat the drum in the media to fire, arrest, and convict Anthony Fauci for crimes against humanity. Those are three short-term goals. Now, when it comes to being, what are the long-term goals? Because there's some things you can accomplish quickly. There are some issues that they're going to take time. So the first long-term goal that I want to address and come out swinging on is the invasion at our southern border. That's an invasion that's happening at that southern border right now. So what we have to do is, one, finish the wall. Two, we need to empower Border Patrol. You got to empower Border Patrol to do their job. Three, we've got to fix the immigration system. It's a total mess. It's a total mess. So those three things help solve the problem. But what you have to do in the now is we need an immigration moratorium. And I'm one of the very few people that are calling for this because people say it's radical. Oh, that's too radical. No, it's necessary. An immigration moratorium for a season. I'm not saying forever, but for a season. Nobody is coming into this country until we figure out who is here and what we're going to do with those who are here, and then how we're going to get people in legally. So nobody's coming in. It's an immigration moratorium. That's what we've got to have right now until we finish the wall, until we empower Border Patrol, and until we fix the immigration system. We need an immigration moratorium. Nobody's coming in until we figure out who is here, what we're going to do with them since they're here, and how we're going to bring people in legally. So that's long-term goal number one. We've got to address the mess at the southern border. Secondly, we have to address our national debt and the rate of inflation. We are on the verge of hyperinflation. Listen to me. We are on the verge of hyperinflation in this country. The printing of the US dollar at the rate that it's going, it's not sustainable. They're killing the dollar. How do you destroy the United States of America? You destroy the US dollar. How do you destroy the US dollar? You rake up the national debt and you print money like it's going out of business. And you will have inflation and you will devalue the currency. We're on an unsustainable path. So we have to address the national debt. We have to address the rate of inflation. And a lot of that begins with cutting the waste, the fraud, and the abuse. We have to cut our spending. We do not need to increase our revenue. We need to cut our spending. And the thing is, we don't need more taxes. We just simply need more taxpayers. You have more taxpayers, you're gonna solve your problems. So we've got to address this. So we got to address it quickly. So one, southern border. Two, national debt, inflation. Three, this is a subject matter nobody wants to talk about, but I plan on addressing it in the Senate. We've got to end child sex trafficking. This is a major problem in our country, especially at that southern border. We have got to end child sex trafficking. We have to address it. The reason it's so prolific is because we don't talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to believe it's happening, but it's happening. And we have to get in front of it. We really do. And so I'm going to beat the drum in the U.S. Senate when it comes to ending child sex trafficking. So those are three short-term goals. Those are three long-term goals. All the while, we have to keep the main thing, which is election integrity. So you're like, well, why wasn't election integrity in one of your three? Because the election integrity issue transcends those 6 different issues. If you don't have fair and legal elections, there's no point in even addressing those other issues. But election integrity is going to be fought and won at the state level. We do not want the federal government taking over our election system. The federal government screws everything up. We don't want that. We want it done at the state level. And we need election integrity in all 50 states, including the state of Oklahoma. I was the only person from our state that went to the Maricopa County forensic audit. I was the only person. And what I saw down there blew me away. And when I came back to Oklahoma, I started calling for a forensic audit of Oklahoma, and everybody thought I was crazy. They said, we don't need an audit in Oklahoma. Trump won. I said, it's not about Donald Trump. It's about election integrity. We have tremendous fraud in Tulsa County, Oklahoma County, and Cleveland County. We've got to have an audit in this state. I was the first one to call for an audit. Now, thankfully, we're moving the needle. We're moving the needle, and people are beginning to say we need an audit. We've got to have an audit here in the state of Oklahoma, primarily of those 3 different counties. Election integrity is so important. The other very, very important issue that is not a federal issue, but a state issue, is ending abortion. We're never going to end abortion in Washington, D.C. Mark my words. It's not going to happen to the Supreme Court. You're not going to end abortion in Washington, D.C. You're going to end abortion at the state level. And I will be one to sponsor, to support, and to work for ending abortion within the state of Oklahoma. I'm not talking about ending abortion in California. I'm not talking about ending abortion in New York. I'm talking about let's start in the state of Oklahoma. Let's make Oklahoma an abortion-free state. That's where we begin. We're not going to end abortion in Washington, D.C. We're going to end it right here in the state of Oklahoma. We can start right here. So those are some of the goals. Those are some of the things I would like to do. So to answer your question, Cody, no, I do not think we're going to overturn Roe v. Wade in Washington, D.C. I don't see it happening. I think you handle it on the state level. I think you're going to handle it right here, that it will be a state issue, that the state of Oklahoma, if we wanted to address it, we could address it. It amazes me how we can have a Republican governor, Republican lieutenant governor, a supermajority in the House, a supermajority in the Senate. The Attorney General is a Republican, yet somehow we murder a lot of babies every single year right here in Oklahoma. Very interesting. Very interesting. I say let's end abortion. That's just my take on it. So, guys, that's it for me. I just wanted to come on, talk to you about our polling. We got good stuff. Amber integrated, total trash. We've got good stuff. And so if you just jumped on, and I would encourage you to go back and you can see the polling that we just had done. And it's very, very good news. I also addressed the controversy surrounding America's general, Michael Flynn, and all those people who are throwing accusations at the good general. Just look at what they're saying. They are not exposing General Flynn. They are revealing themselves. They think they're exposing Flynn. They're not exposing Flynn. They're just revealing who they are. They're making accusations about anthrax. Are you kidding me? If we used anthrax down in that, people would be dead. I mean, come on. We got to be smarter than this. We didn't put anthrax in the fog machines at the church in Dallas. If we put anthrax in the fog machines at the church in Dallas, everybody would be dead. Okay, we got to be smarter than that. We have to be smarter than that. So before I get on a soapbox and just keep talking and say something that the media is going to love to use against me, I'm going to land the airplane right there. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And we'll talk